Rocket League Esports is filled with many incredible moments, ones that make you jump up in joy, others that make you cry, but sometimes there are moments that leave you asking, what if? What if things were just a little bit different? Well, today's story is about one of the greatest what if moments in Rocket League history, which occurred on August 12th, 2022. We find ourselves in the midst of the World Championship, which is the biggest event for professional Rocket League, and two major favourites in FaZe Clan and Falcons are pitted against themselves in a do or die match. FaZe Clan was coming in as a strong force from North America, but had recently slumped in form in the previous major, whereas the Falcons had just come off a second place finish at the Spring Major, and were looking in extremely promising form. But to the surprise of many, FaZe Clan would come out firing, and when I mean firing, I mean they absolutely obliterated the Falcons.
Here's the pass over first killer, shot on target! Because they're running out of boost, so now they're thinking, okay, get in front of the ball. Knocks right down, there's the pass to the side. AJ's gonna take game two. Immaculate here through 2 games. Oh wow! What? Well, first killer's gonna do just that. Here comes a flip reset. They got 5. He got it! He pushed it through. Big clear here from first killer. He puts it on target. Nobody's getting back. 6-0 FaZe Clan. Because it's frustrating. Here in game 3, FaZe commanding it all the way through. And they're on.
For Falcons fans, it was extremely concerning that FaZe were just able to walk straight over them in the first 3 games. It didn't look like they had any chance. Game 4 would start with yet again FaZe Clan dominating.
And another goal for Typical. It's 1-0 right off gas pedals. Say, great. We're going to pick up right where we left off. 15 seconds in. Let's make it 2!
But knowing their chance to win was slipping away, Falcons began to come back.
Throw off the timing, Typical is just like, okay, someone has to go, and this may be it with the bump, and it's still not good. TRK trying to fix it. There we go. This time, Falcons will get on the board. Here. TRK. Okay. Touchdown down. Back within 1 for Falcons.
There was only 1 goal splitting the teams, and as the seconds ticked down, the atmosphere grew more and more tense.
15 seconds left. TRK. Possibly the last chance here for Falcons. This one comes across the box. Typical. Just trying to stay behind this one. AJ called upon.
And now we come to the moment in question. What you are about to see is one of the most unlikely and improbable sequence of events ever in Rocket League history. It began with 1 second left, when Ahmad is forced to hit the ball high to make sure the ball doesn't bounce. Half a second later, the clock hits 0. And in any other game, the match would end now. But the special thing about Rocket League is that as long as the ball is up in the air, the game continues on, and it doesn't stop until it hits the ground, which means as long as they keep it in the air, Falcons can still equalize. Their only problem was that FaZe now had the ball. So as First Killer collected the ball on his backboard, his primary objective was to get that ball to hit the ground. But the Falcons had positioned so well that anywhere First Killer hit it, they would be able to keep it up. And First Killer, not wanting to take any chances in front of his own net, hits it to the side of the field, to where Ahmad is waiting. Unfortunately, he only has 20 boost when he needs to hit the ball. He's forced to pitch it up into the middle, hoping a Khaled will read it. But it's actually Typical who reads this first, and is able to reach the ball before anyone else. And this is where our first curious moment happens. Now, I've explained that FaZe Clan's #1 priority is to get the ball to hit the ground, so you would think Typical in this position would just try to pitch it downwards. After all, the 2 nearest Falcons players are collecting boost and rotated away from the ball. You think he would just drop it, but instead Typical decides to pass it forward to First Killer, which kept the play alive, but also set up a deadly counter-attack. All of a sudden, Falcons find themselves under attack, both out of position and with little to no boost to defend themselves. If First Killer can hit this on net, it would be a certain goal, and almost instantly he piffs it at net at over 122 kilometers an hour. If we go to a Khaled's POV, you can see just how hard a position this actually is for him. He has to guess which of the following 3 scenarios is about to happen. The first, that the ball is simply going to go into the net. The second, that it's going to hit the backboard and bounce outwards. Or the third, and by far the hardest, that it's going to hit the crossbar and bounce downwards at a completely random angle. And he has to judge all of this while being backwards and having 12 boost. To put it simply, this is probably the hardest situation any player could be in. And if he judged it incorrectly, his team would be instantly eliminated.
So which of those 3 scenarios do you think happened?
The 2 easier ones or the much harder one? Well, to Khaled's luck, it was the harder one. Of course it was. Why wouldn't it be? Yes, instead of first killer's shot going in or hitting the backboard, it clips the crossbar and starts heading towards the ground at a 58-degree angle. Khaled, remarkably, is able to react in time and barely gets under the ball, even with the lack of boost, and gets the perfect touch to his teammate in TRK. TRK at this point doesn't have any boost, but thankfully for him, it spawns right as he drives over it, and all of a sudden, the Falcons have a chance. The crowd realizes this, and the noise is almost deafening, and it's in this moment that FaZe begin to realize just how much danger they're really in. TRK spots Ahmad upfield, and knows he needs to pass it quickly if they have any chance of scoring. His initial touch pops it to the ceiling, which forces TRK to delay his flip in order to pass it. In Rocket League, you can only delay your flip for 1.45 seconds, and TRK is able to delay it just long enough to stay within that window, and get a speedy 111km pass to Ahmad. He had pre-jumped TRK's pass, knowing full well that he had to beat FaZe to the ball if he was going to score. AJ reacts half a second later, and jumps up, being FaZe's last line of defense. But as the ball traveled faster and faster, it became obvious that Ahmad was going to get the first touch. And he does, hitting the ball at a whopping 204km an hour. It sailed right past AJ's car and headed straight towards net, and at this moment, Ahmad and everybody else thought it was going in.
It's off the crossbar. It's still up. He kept it up. Oh, he's got the arcade.
But then it didn't. Wait, what? Yep, that's right. From every single angle, it looks like AJ has missed this ball, and it should have been a goal. But somehow the ball is ricocheted to the side. So what's actually happened here? Well, let me explain. Every car in Rocket League has a hitbox, and most people would assume that the hitbox looks exactly the same as the visual appearance of the car. However, they're actually just long rectangles that don't fit super accurately to the car. So sometimes it can look like the ball is just floating on your car because its hitbox isn't that accurate. So how does this relate to our story? Well, it does look like AJ has missed this ball, but when we look closer, we can see that a minuscule part of the car's hitbox has snicked the ball, which has resulted in it barely getting redirected to the side. And it's this tiny little area of the hitbox that stopped what would have been one of the greatest 0-second goals in Rocket League history. And just to give you an idea of how close this was, if AJ was using a Dominus instead of an Octane, he would have missed this ball. It all came down to a tiny little part in a car's hitbox. And this tops off one of the most improbable and unlikely sequence of events I have ever seen in Rocket League Esports. From Sipical's decision to keep it up, to first killer barely missing the open shot, to Khaled perfectly being able to read the crossbar bounce. And finally to the slimmest of margins, which stopped what would have been one of Rocket League Esports' greatest plays. And not only that, if Falcons had equalized, they may well have gone on to win this game. In fact, this may well have been the momentum swing that would win Falcons the entire series. Perhaps even further. But I guess we'll never really know. And we're now left with ourselves asking just one question. What if?